Well, Cece, thanks for letting me come by today. As you know, we're about halfway through this whole treatment process. You and Lauren both have put in a lot of work, and we've talked about several different things throughout treatment.
Right.
Most recently, we've been talking about Lauren and kind of some of her concerning behaviors. We've been talking a lot about the substance use and a lot of,
That's a problem.
I'm glad that we agree on that. We've been talking about kind of your relationship with her and where you guys want to go with that. Both of you have noted that you really want to kind of decrease the fighting that you guys are doing and be more on the same page.
Yeah. Well, tired of cops, coming to my house getting called.
Yeah, and that had been a pretty, continuous trend with you guys, and most recently that's really been decreasing. So I think
Thank
that's
God.
a great sign of progress.
Thank God.
So one thing that I really wanted to address today, with your permission, I know there's a lot of things that we can use this session for, but I really wanted to talk a little bit about the relationship between Lauren and her boyfriend. Is that okay if we go there today?
Sure.
Okay.
So I don't really see how that's a problem. I kind of think he's a good influence, actually. So I'd be interested in knowing what you think about that.
So you feel like he's a positive person in her life?
Well, yeah. I mean, she's been doing crack and shit like that, and he's been like, hey, I mean, he used with her once or twice, peer pressure. She kind of leers over him or looms over him, whatever. But he said you don't need to do that.
So from what you're telling me now is he is a good influence for her, but there are times when maybe he's done some of those behaviors with her.
I mean, once or twice, but I mean, she's very manipulative. Oh my gosh, just it makes me angry to even think about how manipulative she is. So she can make him do anything she wants.
So he's not a problem for her at all.
Well, I mean, maybe that DUI crap that she got us all dragged into down CPS, whoever. So maybe a little bit, but I mean.
Well, let's go there. How would you define the problem?
What problem?
Well, you mentioned the DUI. Maybe it's a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, I mean, can be driving drunk and shit, risking my daughter's life, We fight a lot, but I still care about her, and so for him to be driving drunk, I expect more out of him. Her, not so much, but I do expect more out of him, actually, because, I mean, I have to go to court for her all the time, then I have this, DUI shit that's going on, and, the government, social, whoever is trying to tell me that I need to watch my kid better. I can't, she says, I'm going to do whatever I want with him. Okay? What am I supposed to do?
You're at the end of your rope.
Yeah. What, do you want me to tie her up? Put her, walk her in a room somewhere? I'd have CPS on me about that, too.
So the idea of keeping her from her boyfriend is so overwhelming to you right now that you can't even picture it.
I mean, yeah, a little bit, I guess. Yeah.
Tell me about when you've tried to do that in the past. What's happened?
Oh my gosh. When I try and make her not see her boyfriend, she goes batshit crazy. That's what happens. She's yelling at me, then the cops show up. I've told her and I've told him, don't come over here drunk. You're drunk ass, I'll just call the police and go on to jail for all I care. I'm not getting my daughter into all of that. But any other time, she thinks I'm, just being mean. I'm not protecting her. So you know what? I don't care anymore. She's not having to pay these court costs.
So it sounds like you've tried in the past to kind of set some of these limits, but it hasn't worked out the way that you would want them to.
No. And it's because she's manipulative. She's rude. She's, I don't even know how to sum her up, but you know, sometimes, I mean, that's why we get in all of our fights.
Mm-hmm.
It's because she just thinks that she's the queen of everything, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it all comes back to that.
Mm-hmm. Her. Mm-hmm.
And her inability to listen and to really just respect those limits that you're trying to create.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what do you think would happen if you were to ban her completely from her boyfriend? What is the worst thing that could happen?
Well, I mean, before she said she'd kill herself, so I don't know how true that is. You know, I don't want to be responsible for that.
So you're worried about her livelihood.
Yeah, I mean, she's pretty impulsive, and I mean, I don't think she would, but you never know.
Mm-hmm.
These days, kids just off themselves, you know?
Right. So you have to take that seriously.
Yeah, and I don't want that on me, you know? As much crap shit she gives me, like, I still love her, you know? And I don't want to live with knowing that I caused her, you know, to kill herself. That's some serious shit that I don't want to deal with.
Yeah. So that's obviously a very big concern, you know, just trying to protect her. And I hear, you know, some tension kind of in what we're talking about. You know, you very much value your daughter's life, and you can recognize that, you know, boyfriend driving drunk with her is not a good situation. But at the same time, on the other hand, if you limited that contact with him, I feel like there could be an even worse situation on your hands.
Yeah, and that's what's really, like, kept me from all that, because I don't want to be sitting down at court all day again because we got in another fight and the cops had to come again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just over it, you know? It's almost to the point where I'm like, you know what, you're almost 18.
Mm-hmm.
You're not my problem when you're 18. So, you know, if I can just keep her these last few months, she's responsible after that.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So you're making a huge choice right now in keeping her here, allowing her to stay here, you know, trying to keep her safe. Those are big choices that you're making.
Yeah, and meeting with you guys and taking her to her medicine appointments and making her go to those, you know, because she doesn't want to go, you know. So I've been doing all these things, and she's just like, you're mean, you don't know what you're talking about, you're such a bitch, I hate you, blah, blah, blah.
So you got a lot of demands on you right now.
Yeah.
So what if we flipped the coin for a little bit? So we've talked about kind of the extreme issues that could happen if you limited contact with him completely.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about some positive things that he's got going for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So let's talk about the cost of not limiting any kind of contact with him. What's the worst thing that could happen?
If I let them do whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want. You know, even though we only did those drugs with her like once or twice, you know, those were like Xanax, you know, that's not like pot, you know. Something really bad could go on with that. Another, you know, him getting caught drunk driving with her in the car. Then getting in an accident, you know, being crazy, high, drunk, you know. I mean, I guess, like, the worst would be they could die.
Okay.
But I never really thought of that. That's kind of scary.
Yeah. So that's come up twice in this session.
Yeah, it's like I can't do anything right either way because she'll die or she'll kill, you know, like.
So let's talk about small steps. Let's kind of talk about baby steps. You know? Rather than limiting contact with him completely, but rather than allowing them kind of free rein to do whatever they want. What's the area that most concerns you? Like, when do you think it's most dangerous for them to be together? Does that question make sense?
I think, yeah, like when they're alone, you know.
When they're alone, where is the most dangerous for them?
I don't really like them to be alone any time, really, but I think it would probably be like going places, so maybe in the car.
So if he's driving her, I think that's the most dangerous.
Yeah, because they just drive. Like, who does that? Who can afford the gas when they can't pay their court bills? Or she can't help me, but they're driving, all over Knoxville doing all this. Yeah.
But I also know that in the past, that's been a great help to you.
Mm-hmm.
For him to transport her places.
Yeah, all her appointments, her PO, like all this shit she's got. I've got other kids that appreciate me, so I want to do things for them. I want to take them places, and I can't because I'm driving her this place and this place when she doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want to go, and she's bitching to me the whole time.
So both her amount of activities plus trying to care for your other kids has kind of made it hard for you to eliminate him being a source of transportation.
4 kids, 1 mom. I can't do it all. Can't.
So what would you be willing to consider? We've talked about some pretty difficult things. What would you be willing to consider changing in order to keep your daughter from harm?
Like changing with Randall.
Mm-hmm.
Probably something to do with that transportation piece because that is a big help when I've got like 50 billion things I have to do.
Okay.
And she does actually, like if Randall actually does take her to her appointments. Like don't go off doing other stuff. Like he actually takes her. Mm-hmm. And it seems like she actually like wants to go. She doesn't give me as much shit when she wants to do something, and especially if she wants to do something with Randall. Or Randall is telling her, this is a good idea, let's do this. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't get it.
Okay. So before Randall came along and was kind of helping you with that transportation, who did you use? Because I know that Lauren's been having services for a long time, has had a lot of appointments for a long time, but you guys have been very compliant with services, even before he came along. So tell me what that looked like before.
Well, I've got like some family. I'm from Alabama, but I actually have some family that lives here that used to help me out.
Okay. So you've got some supports. Mm-hmm. Who are those people?
Well, there's my cousin who's about 25, so it's not like a parent figure for Lauren. She used to help out some.
Okay. So maybe that's somebody that we could call on to kind of help us out with this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
What else? What are some other options we've got?
Actually, I think the person that gives her the medicine, whoever, I can't remember her name. She said that because of her insurance, she can get like transportation. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe calling that number on the back of your insurance card to kind of see what's available to her for transportation.
Yeah, it was like Ethra.
Yeah. A lot of my families have used them in the past. That's a great source.
Ethra, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Ethra or Ethra or something.
We're throwing out some really good ideas here. Mm-hmm. Another issue I know we've talked about before is transportation home from school. He tends to help with that. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about options there.
Do I want him to bring her home from school?
Well, that, and what are some alternatives?
Well, if she could get her ass on the bus.
Okay.
That's another thing in and of itself, like getting her to and from school. That's not what we're talking about. So, okay.
Let's just take it one thing at a time.
Well, they sometimes don't get home like they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. Doing little things on their way home, things that I don't approve of. Mm-hmm. Drugs and sex, basically.
Okay.
So that, school's an issue.
Okay. Well, I think we've had a really good session today, and we've just got a few minutes left. So I kind of want to reflect on the work that we've done today and kind of talk about where we can go, next week when I come out for our first session. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate your time today. I think you've put in some really good work talking about some difficult things that are really hard to plan, and I appreciate you for letting me go there with you today. So some things that we've talked about are that, Randall is a very positive person for Lauren at times, but you've also recognized that there are some places where he's pretty dangerous and some things that you want to avoid. So you want to avoid the police coming out here. You want to avoid another trip to court, for the court costs. You want to avoid the CPS reports, So that's kind of led you to the place where you're considering maybe I should limit him a little bit. Would you say that's a good summary?
Mm-hmm.
Some ways we specifically talked about that today is you've identified, him taking her places is kind of the place where you're most concerned about because of the safety risk there. So some things you'd like to consider is maybe pulling on cousin and possibly Ethra to help take her to some of those appointments. So maybe he doesn't have to take her to those places. So I think you've put in some really good work this week talking about those. So what I would like for you to consider before we meet next time is going ahead and talking to cousin about her availability and what she'd be willing to do, and going ahead and calling Ethra to kind of see what services they can provide and making sure that's accessible to her.
I may try and let Lauren do that.
Okay.
And then, because she wants to be Miss Independent.
And you're teaching her life skills by doing that, so I think that's a great plan.
Okay. Yeah, I think I could do that.
Right.
It's not too much.
Yeah. Well, Susie, I appreciate you for your time today and everything that we've accomplished. Like I said, I think you've done really good work, and I'm looking forward to following up with you next week to kind of see where we've gone.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Sure.